On today's Go, we're gearing up for the 6th annual Squamish Valley Music Festival. We're on site here at the Loggers Sports Ground in Squamish, one of the 4 sites for this year's Squamish Valley Music Festival, happening August 7th until 9th. And the man next to me is Paul, executive producer of the festival. You're probably very busy right now, Paul.
Yeah, we've got crews on site already starting to set up. So yeah, we're gearing up for a very big week next week.
Yeah, you can feel the energy in the air. People are talking about it already. It's summer, of course, with festivals and everything. Let's talk about, to start though, the history of the Squamish Valley Music Festival.
Sure.
It's 6th year running this year.
Yep.
But what made you bring it to Squamish in 2010?
We had wanted to put a festival on ourselves for a number of years. We'd been too busy, frankly, with the Olympics to even contemplate it. We came out of the Olympics and suddenly had all this bandwidth, and we said, you know what, that festival idea that we had, why don't we look at putting it together? And my brother lives up here, so I'm quite familiar with this area, and we'd looked at it a few years earlier to do an event up here. It didn't happen, but then we sort of came back to it and went, you know what, this could be made to work. And obviously started it in 2010. It was quite a bit smaller then. We didn't have the north end of the site, so we had a site capacity that was closer to, I think it was 13,000 when we started. And then we started looking at growth, and we got up to 18,000, and then of course last year up to 35,000, and we've got some plans to take it maybe even a little further over the next couple of years here. But yeah, it's one of the most beautiful locations in the province.
And so central, I could see, it draws
super
people.
Central, you know, quick and easy to get to from the city, great to come down from Whistler. You know, we've got so much grass on the site. It's just a beautiful site. It's not a remote field where it's all dusty and all, you know, there's lots of festival sites around, but this one is really spectacular.
It is, yeah, and like you said, it's grown every year. This year you have 70 performers, but you're saying actually 90 when you take into account.
Yeah, we've got, I think it's 71 on stage on the 4 main stages, and then we've probably got another 24 pop-up type things that happen, roaming performers and other little spontaneous things, some secret shows that are going to happen that people will find out about through social media. So there's all told, you know, I think we're into the 90s now in terms of total performances, and it's over the 4 days, right? Because we open up on Thursday for a little camper kickoff type of thing. So yeah, it's lots of fun.
Yeah, whole experience. And like you said, what makes this festival different is it's not just happening here. You just mentioned briefly, but tell us some other spots in Squamish people can also check out performances.
Well, the nature of our site is our campgrounds are a short walk away in most instances. So we shut down downtown on Saturday and Sunday during the day, and we do some street party stuff down there, pancake breakfast and that sort of thing. So there's entertainment happening down there as early as 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning when people are getting up and just getting their day started. We send bands up to the top of the gondola. We do some pop-up performances up on the gondola, like free shows for people that are up there. And we do some stuff over at the farmers market. So we've got, you know, we've sort of got our tentacles into the city in a few places, and it entertains our guests or our fans before the site opens each day, but it also helps bring, you know, our foot traffic into the community, gets them more engaged. You know, it's good for the businesses, and the locals love it. So
I was gonna say, locals all the way from, you know, kids to, you know, probably 60, 70 years old can come, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, on Thursday night is free as well for the locals. We invite everybody to come on down just to check it out. Some of them have been here, some of them come every year, some of them may not have ever thought to come. So we're like, you know what, come on in this year, have a look, see what you think. You know, we want those people, you know, we've worked hard to get the support of the community, so we want to be able to give something back to them.
And maybe break people's mindsets sometimes of what a festival is. Unfortunately, media sometimes, like you're saying, there could be bad press. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk more about the big thing, of course, the performers for this year at the Squamish Valley Music Festival. But let's start to our first story of the day here. Of course, a big part of the festival is wardrobe. And when it comes to wardrobe, it's the more eclectic, the better. In this first story, we meet one North Vancouver artist proving copper is a huge trend. It starts with an idea.
Oh, this piece will be good. Working in any art field is sort of a meditative experience. So you have the idea, who knows where the ideas come from, they just happen.
Add in a little sawing, torching, and hammering, and before you know it, those ideas come to life. These copper armadillos, necklaces, and bracelets, just some of the pieces metalsmith instructor and artist Sarah Groves churns out here in her Vancouver studio. The former ecologist selling her one-of-a-kind pieces throughout the Lower Mainland for the past 15 years.
People used to not think of copper as something they would want in jewelry at all, and people seem to be more willing to accept copper. It does interesting things when you expose it to different materials. You get some interesting colors, and it's very three-dimensional. Working in 3 dimensions is much more interesting to me.
With the jewelry maker today making a set of her popular copper earrings.
I transfer the design to the copper, then I cut it out, file it.
Sarah then heating up the mined material in order to make it bend, with a full-time artisan also selling her work in various local shows, including Britannia Mine Museum's recent Copper and Fire art exhibit. Sarah is among the growing number of artists dedicated to showcasing the beauty and versatility of this once solely industrial product.
It's a great show because it's actually at a mine site which was one of the world's biggest producers of copper for many, many years. And so I think people like it because they get to see not only how the resource extraction worked, but then they get to see a whole range of products. The traditional way is something called synclastic raising. So this bowl is an example of synclastic raising, where you take a piece of metal and you hammer it and you compress the sides and you get some kind of cup or bowl-shaped form.
Along with detergent solutions, Sarah also mixes her metal with fruits, veggies, and plants, including spinach and mushrooms, to bring out copper's signature red and gold tones, with some foods changing its color completely.
A lot of foods are somewhat acidic, and so they do react with copper and brass, which is an alloy of copper. So now I've tried about 90 different things.
With the copper lover always on the lookout, continually scouring metal yards and other downtown spots for her next material, it's this sense of adventure, creativity, and ability to escape from the rest of the world that continues to drive the lifelong artist. Having people actually display and wear her designs, well, that's just a bonus.
I like the idea of creating something that first somehow you're either inspired by something you see or something that happens, or it's some idea that just pops into your head. The time usually just flies by. If it wasn't for my dog, who likes to be fed and likes to go for walks, I would be here much, much longer. And there you go.
To view all of Sarah's designs, be sure to log on to her website, blueboxdesign.ca. Okay, Paul, so like we said, awesome lineup as always. You have an awesome lineup every year, including this year.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about some of the artists, the big ones we can expect. You have over, like we said, 90 in total.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's lots of attention on the headliners, as there always is. So Sam Smith, Drake on Saturday, and then Mumford & Sons closing out Sunday night on the main stage. So everybody's very excited about that. You know, underneath them, you've got Alabama Shakes, you've got Brandon Flowers, you've got, you know, of Monsters and Men, you've got Cascade. Like there's a tremendously deep lineup that goes well into the, you know, into the lower regions of great artists. So, you know, I think it's the deepest lineup we've fielded yet. And then over here on our Blueprint stage, which is our DJs area, this is where Odessa, Porter Robinson, Adventure Club, I mean, this whole place will be absolutely rammed full every night. It always is.
And what goes into, it's always fun when the lineup comes out, there's big buzz on Twitter and stuff months prior to the festival, but what goes into deciding the artist for the year? You know,
it's kind of it's a long and winding road. You know, a lot of it has to do with who's out and working. You know, it's not a Chinese menu where you can just kind of pick and go, I want that one. It's like, well, are they even working this summer? Are they on tour in Europe? Are they available? And you know, have they played the festival before? You know, in our case, of course, we're always looking for what's relevant. So, you know, we've got a lot of acts that have new records that have dropped in the last few months or are about to drop. So it's, you know, the first play in the market on a new album, which is always a feature that you're trying to capitalize on because there's that pent-up demand for them.
Right.
And then there's just the, you know, the laundry list, the wish list of artists that you always want to get, and it's just a question of year over year, can you entice them to come play your festival? These guys get a lot, especially the headliners, get a lot of offers. They get a lot of inquiries about being in different parts of the world, and so, you know, there's a tremendous competition that brews between festivals, and so, you know, that's one of the other things you fight. You know, it's can you convince them to come here versus going to Europe?
Who doesn't want to come to Squamish?
Well, you know, it's a lot easier for us now that we're established, that people, you know, the agents and managers, most of them have been here, they see it, they get it, they know how well run it is. So it really helps those conversations go, and that was a big factor last year in us being able to pull M&M in here is, you know, artists like that are very selective about the shows they play.
Yeah, one of the biggest milestones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
they want to make sure that whatever it is going to be awesome, and of course it was. So.
Yeah, and obviously it was cool to see Sam Smith,
yep.
You know, and in my mind initially, I have been to many festivals, but he's obviously got slower paced music.
Yep.
we've also got Willa from Whistler, one of the artists coming as well, electro pop.
Right, yep.
But are you seeing lineups kind of change with festivals where it's not just about, dance beats all the time?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it reflects today's, the reality of today is it's iPod culture, right? They're less driven by albums, they're more about songs, and so their music playlists can be very eclectic. And the tastes in music are, because of that and the way that music is distributed now, there's people are grabbing different tastes from all over the place. So you see that in festivals. There's more and more eclectic kind of stuff, and it's Sam Smith happens to be one of the hardest artists on the planet right now. So he's playing a ton of festivals. Next year it might be somebody else, but it's kind of that cyclical rhythm of who's hot and what's going on in the music world.
Unless people kind of take a breather too, a little bit, or everyone
Absolutely.
can kind of calm. One thing I should say, we were kind of short in time, but another big thing, obviously, for the festival, you're saying is more art installations
That's
this
right.
year. Tell us what people can expect with that.
Yeah, so we've invested quite a bit this year in just in upping our game around art installations. We've got a huge art pavilion that we're building at the back of the main stage field, where it's going to feature a number of muralists, some interactive stuff. We've got a giant kaleidoscope that's going to be in there. We're making some really interesting projection mapping projects. So it's just, it's one of those things where the music obviously is a key cornerstone of the event, but there's lots of other stuff to do, and we want to really kind of give some people some options for earlier in the day, or if they just want to break from the music, or they need to go chill out somewhere. It's just great content.
Yeah, great variety you guys offer, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, more with Paul later on the show. Also, tell you we're going to get tickets later on. That's a big part of it. But throwing to our next story of the day here on the show, with the U.S.'s recent legalization of gay marriage, 2015 has been a monumental year for all members of the LGBTQ community. In this next story, we speak to one local teen hoping his local story will help further fuel change.
I love being able to express myself through art, being able to express how I feel.
Stroke by stroke, 18-year-old Trevor begins to paint another one of those symbols of expressions here inside his home. While these delicate rose petals may hint of a soft, introspective nature, growing up was anything but for the Squamish teen.
I really liked being associated with my brothers, so I started doing the same things that they started doing, like playing video games, anything with guns and aliens.
Activities that, as most parents will attest to, remain pretty common for young boys. Only Trevor was born a girl. With the then young tomboy still enjoying painting and hanging out with female friends, even playing the occasional Barbies at one time, life soon became a confusing, frustrating time.
I definitely knew something was off. Started getting very angry and projecting that towards my friends. When I was 13, I came across a YouTuber who was transgender. He was talking about his transition and what it was like to transition in Vancouver. When I saw what he was doing, I realized that was what I wanted in life. And I decided to do a little introspection on why I wanted that, and I realized that I was a boy as well.
With Trevor soon beginning his transition to male, meeting other like-minded LGBTQ teens in his high school's diversity club, life soon began to become more enjoyable.
It made me feel better in a lot of ways. It made me feel like I wasn't as alone in what I was going through.
Along with continuing to love video games, the now graduate is wanting to pass along advice to the next generation of youth struggling with their sexuality, in the hope hearing a stranger's story may help them as much as it did him.
I feel compelled to help them because I know what they're going through. My first piece of advice to youth is to be authentic to yourself. Don't be afraid to be who you are, and don't let other people tell you who you are. My second piece of advice is to never be ashamed of who you are. Got called a lot of names in school, got ridiculed. People refused to call me by the gender and the name that I was identifying with. But once they realized they weren't getting a reaction out of me, they stopped pretty quick.
With Trevor having still encountered the odd bullying throughout high school, having a special group of friends to lean on is also something he's appreciative of to this day.
I have had my best friend with me since kindergarten. The moment I told her I was transgender, she immediately switched pronouns and she immediately switched names, and she hasn't made a mistake since. My other friends have also helped me a lot. If you find people like those people in your life, it should be people you hang on to.
With Trevor heading to the University of Victoria in the fall to get his Gender and Women's Studies degree, the hope is with further education and awareness, the road to coming out will be that much easier for future generations, with the hopes and dreams for those futures remaining the same for all.
Transgender people are just like everyone else. We want to have 2.5 kids in a house with a picket fence and a steady job. Just do what makes you happy.
Coming up,
it's one of the most Korean things that we have left in Korea, and I think it's just really unique.
we get loud with Korean drummers. Welcome back from the break. We're here on Go, gearing up for one of the biggest events, of course, in Squamish, the Squamish Valley Music Festival, happening August 7th until 9th. And the man sitting next to me is one of the main guys in charge of putting on the festival. Awesome title, Paul, who is executive producer of the festival. Now, Paul, like we said, it's grown so much every year for the festival. But what are the main challenges, I guess I should say, when it comes to putting on a festival?
Well, you know, we started out in 2010. We didn't even have camping that first year. And we had a much lower capacity, 13,000 people. But, you know, as the demand started to present itself and as we got ambitious about what we wanted to do with it, we started to have to look at things like building of campgrounds, you know, figuring out parking and transportation. It's a lot of the sort of logistics to really support bringing that many people into a community for that short a period of time. So whether it's the water systems or the internet systems or the cell towers or the, you know, a great many things that we have to do to make sure that, you know, we can house those people comfortably and safely and that they can come and go from this area without crippling the local resources. Right. So it's almost more of the work goes into what happens behind the scenes and off the site, as does the actual stages and the festival setup itself.
Yeah, and like you said, it really is, you're working towards, by year 5 is where you really want to have solidified yourself in Squamish. Was that kind of your goal?
Yeah, I mean, we said that in 2010 when we started. We said we had a 5-year plan, and, you know, as it turns out, 5 years later, we were welcoming 35,000 people and M&M and, you know, Arcade Fire and all that stuff. So we kind of hit that target, I guess, in a way. It didn't quite take the route we thought it would, but we got to largely the place that we wanted to get to, and now the next sort of 5 or 6 years, we've got all kinds of ideas about what this is going to continue to evolve into. So that planning continues year round.
Yeah, and next to us, of course, the main stage where the main acts are going to take place.
Yep.
That's one of the largest stages you're saying is in the world?
Yeah, it is. It's we brought it in last year in particular for M&M, but it's, you know, when you start to deal with talent at that level, you know, their demands from a production perspective are quite a bit higher, so you have to continually raise your game to support that.
Totally. What are some other ways that you stand, or the festival stands out compared to others? The stages, what are some other
Well, yeah, I mean, I keep saying the setting because, I mean, we really do have one of the most beautiful locations, and I've been at festivals and worked at festivals all over the world, so I've seen all kinds of different iterations of that. This is hard to beat, and you know, and the artists coming up here every year, you know, they drive up the sea to sky, and they're literally, by the time they get here, their mouths are wide open. They're like, "What? My God, this is amazing, right?" So I mean, that's a huge piece for us. Proximity and convenience and ease of access to get to and from. It makes it very approachable for a lot of people. So it's not as much of a commitment. You're not in the woods for a week. You know, you're not having to do quite as much in that regard.
In Pemberton, we're saying we're kind of more lodged in there for 4 days.
Yeah, exactly. So here you can get outside, you can enjoy, you can go kite sailing, you can go up the Chief, you can go for a hike, you can play golf. Lots of people we know now stay up in Whistler. They base themselves out of Whistler. They use our shuttle bus network to get down and back. But they can sleep in a hotel, they can get up in the morning and have brunch or go golfing or swimming or whatever they want to do, and then take a shuttle down in the early afternoon, have an amazing afternoon and evening of music, and then go home and either hit the clubs or go to bed and start it all over again. Yeah. So there's a lot of variety in the way that you can experience the festival, which is quite unique to this event.
So we'll see you partying here next week?
Maybe on Sunday.
If you
not
planned
before.
it all, you might as well.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. Well, throwing to our third story of the day here on Go. Speaking of exciting performances, in this next story, this group of drummers is loud, proud, and likely coming to a city near you. We met a group of Korean drummers paying tribute to their culture. In an unlikely place on a busy North Vancouver street lies a cultural gathering spot where, like clockwork, these Korean drummers meet every Saturday, preparing to pay tribute and celebrate their country's history.
I feel like it's a good way for Korean Canadians like myself to connect with Korea as well as having fun.
I just take a lot of pride in being able to show my cultural identity, because I think that's something that a lot of, immigrants to Canada have struggles with.
As one of the few Korean performing groups in BC, the Vancouver Korean Art Society drummers perform at over 30 ethnic events throughout the Lower Mainland each year. For founder Kevin Han, carrying on his family's traditions was important after moving to Vancouver in 2000.
When I was young, I learned from my father how to make masks, how to make mask dancing, how to play the drum. And Korean traditional music, the farmers' music, very simple but very interesting, exciting.
Their costumes' bright colors also a large part of that excitement.
The yellow color is land, blue color in the sky, red color the sun.
Along with traditional costumes, Korean drumming also involves 4 percussion instruments, together called samanori, to create its signature sound. And with that, it's time to drum. With similar cultural practices believed to date back to 600 AD, Korean drumming pays tribute to farmers who hundreds of years ago would hold drumming festivals in their fields to bring good luck to their crops and the new year ahead. For Hazel Kang, it's important to share these stories.
The part of the agriculture and the origin of this music, it's one of the most Korean things that we have left in Korea. And I think it's just really unique.
This large ribbon, once strapped to Korean soldiers' helmets to ward off enemies and animals, also playing a signature part in each performance. With each drummer's rhythm and movement getting larger and stronger with each song, it's this special energy and bond among the group that makes each performance so special.
Just the fact that all of us are creating that booming sound, it's hard to explain, but it's really it makes me kind of fire up inside.
I just like to play the gangari, the mini gong, because I get to pour my emotions the easiest.
For Kevin, being able to share his country's stories with people of all ethnicities, including the over 70,000 Korean Canadians now living throughout Metro Vancouver, is what keeps this teacher going.
Many Koreans are watching the drum festival and dance festival. They are very impressive and interesting, exciting. Many people, very nice. All of Koreans is proud in Korean culture.
To learn more about the Korean drummers, be sure to visit the link on the bottom of your screen. Well, while they continue preparing for this year's festival, let's throw to our last story of the day here on Go. With over 200 mountain trails here in Squamish, it's not surprising we house some of the best mountain bike racers in the province. And thanks to one local coach, kids are now learning the sport earlier than ever before. After 4 days of training, the time has finally come for these 8 to 10-year-olds.
And go for it. The large bridge over the river, a lot of people struggle with it because there's a nice left-hand corner that comes in. It's about 9 feet off the ground, and there are exposed rocks and the water going underneath and everything. It's a bit of a mind game. So what we have to do is we have to focus on the other side of the bridge there. There's a big log over there. We need to keep your head up nice and high.
Luckily for these Squamish riders, Mark Bunyan's got their back. Having grown up competing in BMX, cross-country, and downhill races in New Zealand and the UK, the 38-year-old has been spending the last 5 years teaching his own kids' bike program here in Squamish, with a passionate Kiwi coaching over 900 riders each year.
We do a lot of different skills, learning to ride over rocks and roots and bridges for them to be able to be taught how to do things at a young age. It's a lot easier to teach them now because basically they don't have a lot of habits. So when they learn these skills, they pick them up super fast. Go for it. Arm, arm, arm. Now no brake, love.
With this, the second or third summer, most of these junior riders have taken part in the 9 to 4 Monday to Friday program. Being able to conquer this Wonderland Trail bridge is just one of many highlights, with the group logging close to 150 kilometers cycling through various Squamish forests throughout the week.
We ride a whole lot of trails, and it's really fun because Mark lets us go to the lakes and swim.
This has been really helping me with all my skills, and it's been really fun. When I can't do a jump, he somehow just makes me, and I always do it.
Head up, love. Very good, love. Very good.
He's just like a confidence builder or something.
He's really nice and fun to ride with. The best teacher.
Just around the corner here is a neat little jump. We're going to rock on in there right now.
Along with coaching kids and adults in the community, Saoirse Henning is one of half a dozen competitive athletes Mark coaches for free throughout the Sea Sky Corridor in exchange for them helping out with his programs. Whether it's learning how to jump, adapt to trail conditions, or use proper trail etiquette, ensuring young minds are taught the correct skills early in life remains a passion for this father of three.
I didn't have anybody teach me. Oh, I think it would have been really essential, actually. You know, it took me a long time to realize that, you know, a lot of the stuff I was doing with body positions and that sort of thing, definitely in cornering, was completely wrong. 3 things I've always said to all of our athletes is breathe, believe, achieve. So breathe, they've got to calm down before they take an obstacle. They have to believe, they've got to believe in themselves before they try it. And then achieve, just go and achieve it. Head up, now go for it, mate. Solid effort. Woo!
With Mark's focus to this day on having fun.
Nice. At the end of the day, if they learn something from us here, if it's breathe, believe, achieve, if it's be outdoors more, be in nature, you know, have a lot more fun, they've got it. And they'll take it with them forever. Okay, on to the next thing.
To learn more about Mark's training programs, you can also visit him online at markbunyan.ca. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining me.
My pleasure.
Like I said, you feel the excitement. It's
yeah.
Everyone's gearing up.
It's
We're ready.
all coming.
Yeah, now the fun part, actually celebrate. So if people want to get tickets, obviously, they still can.
Yeah, there's still some tickets left at the SquamishFestival.com website.
Okay.
And, you know, for lots of people who leave their planning to the last minute, we always encourage them to figure out not just the tickets, but how are you getting here? Where are you parking? Are you camping? All those sorts of things. So lots of that stuff sells out. In fact, a bunch of it already is sold out. So for those who've got their tickets and haven't yet finished the journey, we encourage them to do that soon so that they're not caught out.
Totally, and so it happens, starts next week, like we said. Should people arrive really early to beat, the rush? What's the best way to kind of get here and start the party?
We find that most people, about 75% of the campers come in on the first day, which is Thursday. So we open the campgrounds first thing in the morning, and then we open the festival site in the afternoon. So the people who are, prepared, they get in here, they get settled, they get all the campground stuff dealt with, and then they come in here, and Thursday night is a nice, easy, chill night, and then they're set for the weekend, right? So we always encourage people to come as early as they can and experience as much as they can.
Okay, give me another good show for sure.
It's going to be fantastic.
Thank you so much, Paul, for joining me.
My pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for this week's Go. Of course, we'll also be here providing coverage of the festival next week, so be sure to watch for that on next month's show. And also send us your photos enjoying the festival. You can also reach out to us on Twitter and on Facebook. The link is on the bottom of your screen. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Ybarra.